It started.
Namaste, dear Utsahins, guests, and all the participants. I'm glad and proud to welcome you all to this wonderful evening of the day 8 of our pre-anniversary event. I would also specially welcome our eminent guests who joined us to bless the occasion. Firstly, our main guest speaker, Reverend Swami Purnachaitanya ji, who is going to inspire us with the topic, the ancient inclusive approach to a peaceful and prosperous society. Dhanyavad Swamiji for taking your time to bless us despite your busy schedule. We also have our instrumentalists who joined us to make this evening more amazing. I would like to especially thank our special invitee who joined us, Major Madhukar Katragada Garu, CEO of Lead India Foundation, retired. Dr. Lata Govada Garu, all the way from London. She is also our council member too. Our own Utsahin Raghuram sir, Anirbanji, the core team of Utsahin, the EC members, the council members, and all the Utsahins, without whom the Utsahin might not be so effective. I'm proud and happy to welcome our inspiration guiding force behind Team Utsahin, our beloved master, Sri Ramareddy Garu, the founder of CB Global's Utsahin, the Educating Minds and Awakening Hearts, and all the participants and the viewers in the YouTube Live. Thank you so much for joining us. And without any further delay, I would welcome our Utsahin Anirbanji to introduce the Day 8 events and the Awakening Hearts. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Charan, for introducing our special guests of the day. A hearty welcome to every one of you, all our special guests and all our viewers, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're here on Zoom with us, or whether you're on the Tvasiatelugu network. We really thank every one of you who've taken your time off to be here today amongst us. Utsahin, the Awakening Hearts, is a platform that focuses on the universal human values. It focuses on enriching ourselves by connecting to the person within. It focuses around the aspects of harmony, harmony within the self, harmony with your family and relationships, harmony with society and people and nation and humanity at large, and finally, harmony with all of nature and existence. With those as our initial goals, we started Awakening Hearts, which has been running now for 6 months. And as we enter into our anniversary of the Utsahin platform itself, which is celebrating its birthday, the first birth year on the 15th of August, the Independence Day of India, we are proud to present to you this event, which is the Day 8 event of the pre-anniversary celebrations, where we have Pujya Swami Purnachaitanya ji here with us to enlighten us about the ancient approach to living well. We also have special guests, like we have mentioned. Welcome Madhukar ji for having joined us. And we have a special set of child artists performing for us today. Without further ado, let us start our day today with the invocation of the Lord. Prayer by Srimati Vasuki.
Sangajatvam samvadatvam samvo manasi janata. Sangajatvam samvadatvam samvo manasi janata. Bhagam yatha purvi Sanjana upasati samano mantra samitihi समानि समानं मनः सह चित्तमेषा समानीव आहुतिः समाना हृदयानिवः समानमस्तु ओमनो यथा सुसहसति सङ्गच्छत्वं संवदत्वं सम्मो मनासि जानन् सम्मो मनासि जानन्. Thank you.
Namaste, everyone. It is indeed a great pleasure to introduce the children who are available today as the instrumentalists for this evening. Parupalli Ibhanan, Parupalli Prabhavan, and C.H. Surya. We welcome you all to this event, and we are looking forward to your performance. Parupalli Ibhanan is 12 years old, studying in 8th class in Sri Vijnana Vihara, Vijayawada, learning mandolin from Sri U.P. Raj Garu and Srimati Nagamani Garu from Chennai last 3 years. Parupalli Prabhavan is 10 years old, studying 7th class from the same school, Sri Vijnana Vihara, Vijayawada, is learning flute from Sri B.V. Balasai Garu from the last 2 years. And to introduce C.H. Surya, who is playing the mridangam today, he is learning it from Sri Parupalli Falgun Garu, Vijayawada, from the last 5 years. We welcome you all, and we are looking forward to a delight offering from you.
Namaskaram to one and all. Before we start the concert, we would like to thank Team Utsahin for giving this wonderful opportunity. Now we are going to play Ganesh Pancharatnam in 5 different ragas: Hamsadhvani, Malahari, Kalyana Vasanta, Kuntala Varali, and Madhyamavati. Set to Aditalam, Tisra Nadai.
Thank you. Over to Nidhi.
They say music is divine, children are divine.
Nidhi, just a moment.
Sure.
Continue, please.
They say music is divine, children are divine, so this is super divine. You made such a wonderful offering to the divine today. I really wish and pray that all the blessings are showered on you. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. Namaste once again, everyone. My humble pranams at the holy feet of the Swami who is amidst us today. It is indeed my blessings, Swami, to say a few words of introduction for the help of the audience. Swami, who is a great spiritual guide to many in the world, is a sought-after teacher of yoga, meditation, mantras, and his enthralling storytelling, I believe, is known for his uncanny ability to decode the profound ancient wisdom into making it simple and practicable to modern life. Born in the Netherlands to a Dutch father and an Indian mother, who played a central role in kindling in the Swami a keen interest to spirituality and Eastern philosophies. Swami has practiced, I believe, a great range of Eastern martial arts, which turned out to be very providential in his life. The defining moment, friends, came in Swami's life at the age of 16, when, as it was destined, as they say, he met beloved Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. Well, we all know Sri Sri Gurudev, who is a renowned spiritual master, humanitarian, and founder of the magnificent Art of Living Foundation. Swami, after completing his studies in Indology with a specialization in Sanskrit, moved to the Art of Living Center in India, which is in Bangalore, to embark on his journey to understand nature of reality and consciousness. He was given this beautiful name, which is Purna is blossomed and consciousness is Chaitanya. Currently, Swami is the director of programs at the Art of Living, where he conducts a range of programs, not just in rural development, prisoner rehabilitation in India and Africa, and many more. Swami has traveled 20 countries in addition to Europe, is a senior teacher of yoga, and extensively traveled in expanding and providing wisdom to as many. He's also a guest speaker in eminent colleges, and also consulted and conducted master classes in eminent companies like BCG, Microsoft, and CII. Just to conclude, at the cusp of the critical moment that history is facing now, Swami has opened up his treasure on being compassionate, sharing peace, joy, and fullness to everybody. So the latest addition to the treasure is his book authored called Looking Inward, Meditating to Survive in a Changing World. We welcome you, Swami, to this program, and it is indeed a great blessing to have you this evening with us.
Thank you so much. That's quite an elaborate introduction. I have to do my best to live up to that now. For those of us who don't feel shy, who have a decent internet connection, it would be really nice if you can turn on your camera so I can also see at least some of the people I'm speaking to, only if you're comfortable. And I feel quite at home. I've spent actually about 2-3 years, spent a lot of time in Andhra Pradesh, mostly, a little bit Tamil Nadu as well. After coming to India, being in our ashram for 2-3 years, my master Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji told me that, no, why don't you travel more and share some of the things that you have learned and inspire people to preserve the culture, the traditions. So I spent a lot of time in Andhra Pradesh. Konjam Telugu maatlattanu. Still. So it was so nice to hear in the introduction, all the Garu was added. We used to also, of course, we used to say that, respectfully we address. So it brings back many good memories of the extra spicy food and the beautiful culture and traditions. So even though at the risk of being repetitive, I would like to start just with a small invocation, a small prayer from the Vedas. A little more elaborate version of what we just heard is the same mantra, but I'll chant the full, it's a small sukta. because it gives a beautiful foundation for today's topic. So allow me to start with that, and then we'll continue from there. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Sam Samityuvase Vrashannakne Vishvaan Yarya Ilaspade Samityase Sanovasunya Bhara Samgachatvam Samvadatvam Sambhomana Ansi Janata Deva Bhaganyatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate Samano Mantra Samiti Samani Samanam Manasaha Chittame Esham Samanam Mantram Abhimantrayeva Samanena Vohavisha Ajuhomi Samani Vaakuti Samana Hridayani Vaha Samanamastu vo mano yatha avassu sahasati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Some of this mantra has also been included in many of our international Yoga Day protocols that the Indian government had prepared when officially the United Nations declared an International Day of Yoga. And so at least from Indian government side, all the embassies, the official programs, they took some part of this mantra and said, okay, let us start with this because it is so relevant. And it also very beautifully reflects the whole ethos and approach of and the high level thinking of the Vedic traditions, no? The ancient traditions that this country and whole, you can say, subcontinent is, you can say, the mother of. And this topic came up for today, and I thought it's very nice to just touch upon that because as most of you, if not all of you, are in the teaching profession or in education system, you are the ones who are facilitating this process of giving knowledge to people, no, grooming people, whether we like it or not, whether people agree or realize it or not. This is what shapes our thinking, and that is why in ancient times it was given such a high regard, such a respect, where they say the teacher also is a form of God. Acharya Devo Bhava. It's, of course, first guru is the mother, then the father, but then third is the teacher. And if we look at the challenges that the world is facing today, many of the challenges, in a way, you can say, can be traced back to the way we are approaching life, the way we are educating ourselves, the next generations. And in that way, India still has so much to offer to the world that can really, that can give them a right direction. Because if we look at just the meaning of these few verses I chanted, it's a prayer to Agni, to the form of the divine as the fire. And it says, praying to the divine that please bring us, abundance and all the good things. And then it says, let us all come together, all that have gathered here, because it was chanted also in the assembly. And that may all our minds be united, that we be that we agree. So that doesn't mean we should all be the same. No, we can all be different. Everybody has their own experience, their own background, their own, look at things or their own perception. But let us come together with that sense of belongingness. Let us agree. Just like the gods, the different devatas, they used to equally share the offerings they received. No? There was a practice that all the havis, the offerings to the fire, they said you offer it into the fire, he is like the messenger. No? And then, or we say the delivery person. No? Now we have Amazon courier and actually so many things, even Uber Eats. So many things get delivered. So Agni was like the delivery person. And it is said that an equal share would go to all the different devatas. Which means even though the devatas had their own offices, their own work, and some may be considered more important than others, depending on one's aspirations or needs. But they said, despite that, they will all share equally. There is no conflict there. They have very different forms, approaches, but they would share equally. So let us also have that same sense of belongingness, that same of mutual respect. And then it says that may our intentions be for good. May that way, may it be common, may it be the same, that we all desire the best. And may the gain we get from that is also same. May it be equal. And that we come together for the same purpose, with the same desires in our hearts, the same, you can say, wishing for the greater good, for the good of all. And may in that way we become united. And that is how we worship, that all our minds and hearts may be able to agree happily. So it didn't say, okay, you have to only think one way. No, actually in the Vedas, it's very clear. They said, it's actually, they pray for this. They pray. There is another verse in the Vedas where they say, please let knowledge come to me from all directions. So even the rishis in ancient times who had such profound understanding, they realized that even though we know so much, there is only very little. And there is knowledge all around us in so many places. May it come to us. Actually, you ask any scientist, anyone who has gone really deep into their subject, and I'm sure we have some people here, beyond master degree, then you have PhD, then you have people who keep on researching. And you ask someone who goes to what we now may say the pinnacle of their science, where they are the authority or one of the authorities, and you honestly talk to them, you will find usually there is so much of humility. There was one person, Dr. Dur, he had come from Germany once, a great scientist. And he was speaking at a conference. I was also present there. And he shared a very touching thing. He said, I have so much of respect for India and for its culture, its traditions. And he had, started studying also the Upanishads. But what prompted him, he said, I have studied matter for most of my life. At least 40, 50 years. He was a very old gentleman. He said, I have been studying matter for so many decades, only to find out eventually that it doesn't exist. Because going beyond the atoms, and then you have the nanoparticles, and then beyond that, it is just wave function, it's just energy. But with such humility, he said it, I realized that I really don't know much. And I've spoken to scientists in different fields, and they all say the same thing. The more you know, the more you learn, you realize that actually you know very little. And the beauty is that humility, when it comes, it allows a person to keep learning more. Because when you think you know, that is when learning stops. No, I know. That is the problem now with many students. I'm sure you have this challenge. They come to school or to college, wherever, thinking they already know. And if they don't know, who are you to tell them? They will Google it much faster. But then you also see that many students have this problem where they say, attention deficiency. It's very difficult to study, to concentrate. And then we blame it on so many things. So because of gadgets, this, that. Honestly, if you ask me, one of the biggest things that has contributed to this problem is because the culture has changed so much, the approach has changed, that respect for knowledge or for learning, for school, for the teacher has diminished to such an extent. People may have so many reasons why they say, what is the need to bow down to your teacher or have that reverence towards, school. But the reality is, if you really look at it, what is that honor and respect? If you look at what happens to your state of mind, anything, whatever it may be that you respect, for a moment, your mind comes fully to that present moment and you are fully there. Yes or no? Say, for example, okay, you are a person who likes to do puja. You have that devotion towards divine, towards God. So the moment you sit there in your little temple, or you go to a temple and some aarti is going on, or you're doing some offering, that moment your mind is fully there. Yes or no? Or if you have maybe you have an ancient booklet, a scripture or something from your grandparents, when you pick it up with such awareness. With both hands, you see, okay, where do I keep it? If it's some old newspaper, you kept it somewhere, pata nahi kahan. No, then you may not even remember. Yes or no? Same with a guest. If you have a neighbor, no, sometimes at least cities now it is less, but smaller towns, villages, people, they really know each other well. So you may have a neighbor who keeps walking in and out of your house and you don't even mind. You don't even know. Kab gaya, kab aaya. No, they will come, they'll sit there for some time, or some family member, maybe some relative. But if a honored guest comes to your house, your whole attention is there. You'll make sure, okay, where does this sit? Are they comfortable? That time you're not thinking about so many other things. The same is with students. Earlier, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, maybe, people used to go to school and they felt very fortunate. Oh, I have a chance to go to school. And there is a teacher, a person who is putting an effort to make you learn something. People have respect for that. You have a book, it has knowledge, you have a lot of respect for that book. They say, no, Pustak Rupi Saraswati. No, it is like book was considered as a form of the goddess of knowledge. That kind of respect. So then that means, of course, when that person starts talking, or when you look at that book, your whole attention is there. What is there? Now, who has any respect? It is disrespect many times, which is unfortunate. But then you cannot blame them also, because if there is no respect, how are you going to focus? They will feel, who are you to tell me? If I want to know, I can find out easily. I'll Google it. Now it's very easy. But in ancient times, they said, no, yes, there is so much of knowledge and it can come to me from all direction. And that prayer was there, may it come. That sense of belongingness, that openness. And that is how people can progress. And that is how, if you see wherever there is a conflict, and if there is someone who can somehow bring these two parties together and say, okay, let's have a dialogue, that is when things can actually move ahead and progress. I remember when the Ram Mandir issue, I mean, it's been going on, of course, for decades and decades, but when in the final stages now recently, the government had appointed this mediation committee as a last, option. And of course, one of the members was our Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji. And at some points also he was asked that, why even bother? Anyway, it's not going to work. He was very adamant. I remember he used to go and meet so many people, including, from all the sides, all the factions. And some of the Hindu leaders said, why are you going to this Muslim factions? They will never listen to you. The same way, there was a lot of, because it's a long issue. You cannot blame people. There was a lot of, hurt and so many issues were there. And of course, political angle was there. Some people didn't want it to be resolved. That is also, we should not ignore. But then he said, no. And I remember once he was interviewed, he gave a beautiful statement. He said, see, the only way that this can progress, can really go forward, is if there is an amicable solution, if people can somehow come to an agreement. Because he said, otherwise, it doesn't matter who wins finally. That court case, yes, but if court has to decide and if there is no agreement, what will happen is sooner or later, again, the conflict will come. Because even if they rule saying, okay, this party is right, the other will feel that they have been wronged. So then what happens, that enmity or that feeling will trickle down, if not now, next generation. We see some parts of the world that conflicts have been going on endlessly. It never ends. Someone will want to take revenge, and then again it keeps going. But if you say, no, yes, when we can agree, even if it is you agree to disagree, but we can agree, okay, yes, you feel this way, I feel that way, okay, that is okay. That is also okay. Then you can move ahead. Then you can say, okay, how to go about it. And if we look at the Vedic tradition, the very concept of Ishtadevata, may have heard this word. Many of you know, I know. Andhra Pradesh, now we have two, of course, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. When I used to go, it was still one. Now we have two. But both of them, if you see that whole region, still that sanskara is quite strong, the Sanskriti, the tradition. Even if you go to temples, even the pronunciation of the mantras, very few places in the country you find such proper pronunciation of Sanskrit. But this whole concept of Ishtadevata was what? That you say, okay, yes, God, divinity, or whatever you want to call it, is one. There is one governing or consciousness or one substratum, one power is there. But you can relate it in all different ways, relate to it. And that is fine. So however you want to see that, or however you feel connected, very good. And that's what we used to see. And still you see. You go to any village. If it's a small village, there may be one temple. But everybody from the village goes to the temple. And in the temple, they may be worshipping so many different devatas. One corner, someone may be doing Abhishek to Lord Shiva, while happily in another corner, someone is doing puja to Ganapati. And somewhere Hanumanji may be there. And, it's like Devi, definitely. And there's no problem. There is no conflict. And someone may be hardcore Narayana Bhakta, but if there is a big festival for Ganesha, they will happily participate. Because in the end, they know, see, form may be different, but it is one divinity. Source is the same. And that is why if you see, people never really had an issue even when people come from outside. They may be following a whole different tradition or parampara. No problem. That's why, okay, if you see whether Jewish people came, they said, okay, no problem, very good, you have a different Ishtadevata, wo bhi chalega. No. Rather, I've seen people, they're happy, there is a church, they will happily go and celebrate Christmas. There is no conflict there, which is something very beautiful. This is something that world needs today. Because we see now, it is not like before that everybody's in their own corner. People are spread all over. Wherever you go, you will find Chinese people. You will find people from Europe, South America, Indian, definitely. You will find people from Middle East, everywhere. It's all mixed. So then if you want to coexist peacefully, we need to come from that space, where you don't have to say, okay, we all have to follow the same, because it doesn't work. See, any tradition where they said, okay, only one thing is correct, doesn't work, because people will always be different. Some people will have a different approach. Look at Buddhism. Actually, Buddha was a Hindu, if we're very honest. But then later they called it Buddhism. What he taught, now we have so many streams and sects of Buddhism. If we look at the Islamic traditions, there are so many sects of Islam, and they're fighting amongst each other also. Not everybody, but some people disagree. They said, okay, we give it separate country, but then amongst themselves also people disagree. They will find a reason to fight. In Christianity, we have so many different churches. I was working in Northeast for quite some time. Small anecdote. And it was Christmas Eve. And I was there and I heard in Shillong, they have one of the biggest cathedrals in the whole, that part of Asia. And I said, this is a wonderful opportunity. Let us go and check it out. Because Christmas Eve is like one of the main celebrations. And then I asked one of our volunteers there, can you take me? And because first there was one sister who was also one of our volunteers there. She's a head of one of the colleges. So she said, I'll take you because, anyway, it's my church and I know the father who is going to speak. I'll take you nicely. We'll get a good seat. I said, very nice. But then she was unwell that evening. So she said, sorry, I cannot come. I'm having a little fever and all that. So I asked one of our volunteers that, can you please take me? And then she said, no, actually, I am from Baptist church. And this was a Catholic church. I said, okay, I don't want to be difficult. So I asked another person, sorry, Presbyterian. I said, okay, chhod do yaar. Then I asked one guy, one of our, another who was a Bengali. I asked him, he said, no, Swamiji, no, I am not comfortable. I am not Christian. I said, okay, never mind. Then I asked one person who still follows their indigenous faith there. We have still the Khasi, from the Khasi tribe. And then he said, no, but Swamiji, if I go there, so many people, they will stare. And because they know me, later they will ask. I said, okay, no problem. 5-6 people we were sitting there. I said, no problem. I'll go by myself. No issue. But in the same way, if you see, you go to any temple. I mean, nowadays, maybe 1 or 2 places, it's a different story. But otherwise, anything is possible, not possible. Anything goes and is happening, and there is a lot of harmony. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is the same. Again, I have met such wonderful people from all traditions, and they welcome you with open arms. But that is the thing. That is this philosophy, that this approach that is holistic, And if you look at the definition of dharma, it is so beautiful in the scriptures. Of course, in Hindi now the meaning has changed a little, but dharma is that which supports you, which uplifts you. And all of these, this whole thought process, they said, is part of Sanatana Dharma, because it supports life, it uplifts life. If you see that way, the word spirituality in English is, in one way, depending on how you define it, comes a little close to that word. It's not fully, but because if you say spirituality is anything that uplifts your spirit, that is dharma. That supports life, that uplifts life. And that is why, if you see, sometimes people ask me the difference between spirituality and religion. One beautiful way to define it is, you can say spirituality is those common values, those human values that you find in all the traditions, all the religions. Religion, you can say, has 3 parts. One is the customs, the practices, and one is the symbols, and one is the values. So those values are actually the same. The symbolism, the symbols, and the customs will differ from place to place and from time to time. Someone may be worshipping in one way, another worships in another way. Even if you take at Sanatana Dharma, the traditions that we now usually call Hinduism, so many differences are there over the centuries, different places also. You go to Bengal, they worship in a different way. You go to Andhra Pradesh, again, even within Andhra Pradesh, different places, they may follow different traditions. I've been to so many villages. Local customs may differ. But the beauty is that differences were celebrated. It's like a bouquet, They say that this whole world, this nature itself is so diverse. So many types of flowers, fruits, vegetables. That means divinity loves diversity. If God wanted everything to be the same, he would have created it the same. So you cannot then say, no, I feel it should all be the same, and then blame it on God. Poor guy or girl, or anything in between. We cannot do that. There's such diversity is there. Imagine if every day you have to have aloo, potato. You will get fed up. Even if you love aloo, you will get bored at some point. You'll say, "Arey, again." And that is the thing, if you see, sometimes people say, oh, religion is a bad thing, because they say so much of conflicts also have come up because of religion. You look at the Crusades or wars, or even today. But you cannot blame religion, because this is just people's tendency. It is our ego, our mind that comes in between. It is the education that has been given. People have done the most beautiful service and are still doing today in the name of religion, inspired by religion. So where does the conflict come from? Because people have not been taught or learned that, yes, we are all human beings. People may have a different approach. That is also okay. If you see, forget about religion. If you look at football, soccer, in Holland, I grew up in Holland. There, sometimes it used to happen, not so much, or we used to see on the news in other countries in Europe, or that, there's hooligans, football supporters who, after the match, sometimes even before, they create a ruckus and they start, either fighting with other people or, breaking things, vandalizing things. If you have a Manchester United and a Liverpool, for example, who have a soccer match, one of them will win, one of them loses. Before and after the match, they very nicely shake hands, all the players, because they're friends. They know each other, at least they're colleagues, and they know maybe next year I'll be playing for the other team. Who knows? People get bought and transferred and all of that, and they know, okay, you give your 100% in the match, and that's it. So they don't have any issue. But then the supporters, they get into a fight. Now, why is that? Because one person says, oh, you are a loser. Liverpool is lost, so okay, you're losers. Now, Liverpool doesn't mind so much. But why did supporter get so annoyed? Because if you're saying Liverpool is bad, you're indirectly saying I am bad. Now, how can you say I am bad? I'll show you. The same, you see. I'm sure if you put Jesus, Buddha, everybody together in a room, they will get along very nicely. No problem. But why someone says, okay, no, this one is good, this one is bad? Because then you're saying, no, I am bad because I'm a devotee or a supporter or a follower of this person, this tradition, this religion. Now, how can you say I am bad? I am not. I'll show you. And people fight. If you look all the traditions, if you look at the values, it's the same. It's about serving, caring for people. But then when that ego comes in or politics come in, it becomes a problem. But why does that come? Because that education was not there. When someone has learned to respect all different traditions, and they know a little bit about each tradition, then what happens? They will never become fanatic. It's not possible. Like I remember when in high school and all of this time, when that 9/11 happened, that attack in United States, and then there was this flare up where people in the West also, they had a lot of, there was a lot of polarization that happened where suddenly people, they will feel very uncomfortable, maybe with a Muslim, where they'll say, oh, I don't know, because that the news was like that, the projection. And of course, we know so many, if at all someone has done it, it may have been a handful of, fanatics. You cannot blame a whole tradition or religion but nevertheless, people know that psychosis will come, that fear psychosis or that mistrust or whatever. But I remember anybody who has at least one Muslim friend, he didn't have that problem because he knows, no, not all Muslims are like that. Because I have this friend, I know, yeah, very nice people. Same for me. So that is the beauty that used to happen. And it is most needed even today. Because knowing a little bit about different traditions, see now, at least when it comes to food from all over the world is available everywhere, yes or no? Everybody has at least some experience where you had chips, Coca-Cola, pizza, burger, Chinese food. No? So we have accepted food from all over the world. You've accepted clothes from all over the world, music, movies, And now finally, not fully, but we have come to a time where people have started accepting wisdom and knowledge from all over the world. In this country, in this part of the world, this was always there. That's what we saw even in the Vedic tradition. Some of the, or maybe the most ancient written records that we have, Rig Veda, all these thoughts are there. It's such high thinking. But that is what is needed. Now we see, okay, yoga, meditation, it's so much more accepted than 50 years ago. Yes, a few corners here and there, still people are getting used to it. But that is why, and now I tell you, during this pandemic, even more so. The number of people that, even from government side, that people have realized already mental health became such a serious problem. Now it is even worse. People don't know how to deal with their anxiety, with their stress, their worries, their fears. And everybody is saying, okay, people should meditate, do yoga, because this is no side effects and it's very effective. Medication alone will not get you there. It's not recommended also. So we have a limited time today, but as it was mentioned in introduction, so I've written a book during the lockdown. I was stuck in South Africa for almost a year. I came back in January to India, but I can show you, just you can get a glimpse. It was published about 1 month ago. The book is called Looking Inward, Meditating to Survive in a Changing World. I was actually approached by Penguin India. Penguin, of course, it's the biggest publisher in the world. They had asked me, they said, can you write a book to help people with these things? Just before the pandemic, but it became even more relevant. So in the book, I've introduced people to, okay, how does the mind work? How to manage your mind, and how we can use meditation as a practical tool. But also what meditation is, how it is different from mindfulness, and some of the do's and don'ts, that whatever, there are many different schools, approaches to meditation, but there are some basic things which are the same, do's and don'ts, where you can get stuck or how your meditation can become more effortless. So I've shared all these things. So of course, you're most welcome to check it out. We've got very good feedback already from so many people. And already the book is going to be translated into quite a few languages abroad also. So in the next 1 year, the book will become available in many parts of the world, including Russian, Arabic, so many places, to see the response, because people are realizing that this knowledge is so desperately needed. But then, yeah, of course, I've learned so many things over the last 15, 20 years. So from my master, from my experiences teaching people. So I've taken some of those key learnings to save people a lot of time. Because just downloading a mindfulness app is not the same. We're in a fast food society now. People like to get things quick, but there is so much stuff available also, which is not authentic. And that is why I feel that at a time where people are becoming more and more open, it is also so important that we preserve the proper essence of these practices, whether it is puja, whether it is yoga, meditation, so that the essence doesn't get lost. Otherwise, again, you end up with an empty shell. Because the tradition, the Sanskriti that this country has, and of course, over the centuries, a lot has been lost, but there are still many things available. If we see the revival of something like Ayurveda, some of you may know, older ones, that a lot of it was almost gone. If you see Panchakarma treatments, all of that, it was 50, 60, 70 years ago, was almost, 50 years ago, it was very little. Now, of course, it has come back to a great extent, and it is spreading more and more. Same with yoga, it wasn't so common. Pranayama and all was not even taught to much of the normal public, general public. It's quite revolutionary. Now we cannot imagine, but it wasn't just taught to everyone who wants to learn. The same way, there is still so much more that this tradition has to offer. And as teachers, as people in the education sector, there I feel, yes, you have an opportunity also to, even if it is just to kindle that awareness, to make people aware. Nowadays, like, there is one benefit of internet. People can find out so many things for themselves, but even just that awareness that, this tradition itself in that way was so much ahead of us and has so many solutions to offer for today's world, where we can avoid a lot of the unnecessary problems. And these practical practices, that mutual respect and that open-mindedness, it is a kind of humility that allows you to grow in life, is something that I really wanted to touch upon. The problem is time flies. There are so many things. So, and I also wanted to give a chance for people to ask some questions. Otherwise, if it's just monologue, this is you all know, when you're in front of the class, it's nice, you can keep going, but then for the people sitting there, sometimes it is really difficult. So I wanted to share a few of these things, give some things to think about, but then if anybody would like to ask something, I would love to, because it may be more relevant than for you as well.
Thank you very much, Swamiji, for that beloved message on why all of us need to come together, be together. Symbols and rituals may be different, but values, they're the same, no matter in whichever form or name. I think really a beautiful message you shared, Swamiji. We have a couple of questions that have come in from our audiences. The first question is about, you did speak in the initial part of your talk about the importance of teachers, why teachers are the people who take values and build a society and a civilization. And that glory to teachers and that respect for teachers has dwindled in the recent times. What can we do to bring back that glory and that importance for teachers, respect for teachers?
See, one thing is that making people aware, first of all, where the knowledge has come from. Like, if you look now, we take so many things for granted because we got used to it. Like, people don't realize that if you see whether it is any science, that it has been so many centuries where people have labored, and so many scientists have contributed to put together what we have right now. And then if you say, okay, no, I'll just figure it out for myself. But if you want to figure out for yourself the whole materia medica, even in 10 lifetimes, you cannot do it. So in the same way, whatever we have available today has been the effort of so many people. And when people start realizing that, at least some humility or awareness will come, saying that, oh yes, this is not just something that is, just fallen out of the sky. And another thing is that, and this is a little bit, again, also the skill of the teacher, to make that subject or that knowledge come alive for people. Because that is also something many times nowadays people can't really relate, like, how is this relevant for my life? What is the point? How is it useful? So when it starts becoming useful, they start seeing how this actually relates to my life, how it makes a difference. That also really helps. And the third is that, of course, it is sanskara, that is something that from a younger age, it's easier to inculcate. But yeah, these are some of the main points. And along with that, it is also just, well, I cannot say just, but it is also important that an overall sensitivity is kindled. So there, everything, your lifestyle, your food habits, everything will make a difference. Because see, the same way, if you say, okay, students should be fresh and alert in the classroom, but then for lunch, if you feed them only fried stuff and oily things or very heavy food, then you cannot blame them for dozing off or feeling lethargic or dull or sleepy. You go to any proper Indian wedding and you have all those, you have a counter, South Indian, North Indian, continental, Chinese, this, that, then one counter with chaats and one ice cream and this, that, and the poor guy who's getting married, or girl, or both, their family, like, they'll spend the next few decades paying off those bills, but everybody else has a feast because it's free, so the bake khata, But then you have all of that food. After that, you don't feel very energetic, it's like, it's difficult to get up also. So same way, like, the food you eat will make a difference, then your lifestyle. And then, that's why it was so nice to see the performance also that we started with, all of this, like, nurturing that balance. Nowadays also, if you see many children, they grow up just watching cartoons or TV because parents are busy and they feel it's easier to put the kid in front of the TV or the tablet, so at least they don't make any noise, they don't bother them. But then if so much of cartoons, if you're watching, for example, then what happens, only one half of the brain gets stimulated. So they will keep seeing all of these things, though the right side of the brain gets plenty of stimulation, but not the left side. And then later you find they have difficulty with mathematics, with all these exact logical things, because that part of the brain was never really stimulated. In ancient times, they will find such a nice balance. So the same is, if there has to be some exercise, some connection with nature. All of these things will help. So that doesn't make it easy for you, I know, because the current education system doesn't really cater to all of these things, but to some extent, we can inspire, encourage, work towards it.
Thank you. Thank you. Really, I think you brought out that beautiful concept of the subtle relationship between what the tridoshas, basically the ahar, the vihar, and the vichar. They're all related. As is your environment, as is your intake, so becomes your actions. As is your actions, so becomes your behaviors. As is your behavior, so becomes your personality and overall character. I think very beautifully brought out there, and therefore teachers must focus on bringing that in early on. That way, when teachers and parents and the society at large bring those values of respect towards teachers, naturally the children will also, and then the civilization will also learn to respect and build values and not just cram facts. Thank you, Swamiji. That was really beautiful. I have one other question, which I would like to ask, maybe a sneak peek into your book, Looking Inward. If you can please summarize some of the key messages of the book.
Okay, so how shall we go about that? Basically, the first part is that the book starts with understanding how the mind works. And just to give you one glimpse, of course, it's a whole book, so we cannot cover everything in a nutshell, because already I've condensed a lot. Actually, I've put a lot of things there in the book. But one thing is, for example, that our mind and body work in different ways, different laws, you can say. So on the level of the body, effort is required to get any result. Whether you want to lose weight, build your muscle, become more flexible, you need to put effort. You need to exercise, do something. You want to learn how to play the guitar, you have to practice. You want to learn how to play tabla or mridanga or any instrument, you'll have to practice. So on the level of the body, effort is the key. But on the level of the mind, it is opposite. Their effortlessness is the key. And this is one thing, for example, which we have not learned, which is a big problem, because that is why we struggle. The more you try to remember something, it doesn't work. And then when you drop it, you say, okay, never mind. Suddenly you remember. If you remember what it was like as a student, I used to wonder about this. You study hard, you know your stuff more or less. You go for the exam and then you focus, you try to focus, you put so much effort. And some things that I knew this, but it's not coming, tip of your tongue. You may even remember on page 25, this was written, just at the end of the chapter or below that blue box, but it's not coming right now. And you struggle through that exam, then you give the paper, and the moment you walk out of that classroom or you submit it, suddenly you remember, yes or no. Now, this is not because God is angry with you. It is because when you finally finish that exam, whether you have done well or not, you relax. Okay, at least for today, I'm done. You relax. And the moment you relax, it comes. Because when you are relaxed, your mind works much better. But we have never learned how to be focused and relaxed at the same time. You are very focused, but you are not relaxed. Normally, when you are focused, you are tense. And when you're relaxed, you are not focused. So being focused, being aware and relaxed at the same time is exactly what meditation is. That is a skill you can learn. But we need to learn how to manage this mind. Otherwise, in anything, you're upset about something. The more you think, I don't want to think about it, or I should not think about it, it doesn't work. You think about it more. So there, what you resist persists. That is why people may be dead tired, but at night, they have difficulty falling asleep. There's so many things going on through the mind, and we have not learned how to let go. So understanding how the laws of the mind work, how you can manage this mind, and it will give you a lot of clarity. Why it's behaving the way it's behaving. And then, okay, where did I lose my inner peace? How can you come back to that? How can you regain it? How to get that clarity that what is it that you really want in life? Where do you want to go? But this is another problem when we have so many things going through the mind and we have not learned how to really deeply relax it. Sleep nowadays is not sufficient. For the body, yes, not for the mind. We have so many impressions. So then you get people, I don't know what I want to study or what I want to do in life, because there is so much of noise inside. You cannot blame them. But then what happens? People start living their life like a gamble. Like you get into a train and you get out somewhere else. And then you look around and you say, oh yeah, this is not where I wanted to go. You don't know exactly where you want to go, but this is definitely not it. And then you get into another train again, you go somewhere. I know people, they study one thing, then they go and work, they get a different type of job because they realize this is not actually what I want to do with my life. And like that, you keep doing something. And at every point, that this is not where I wanted to reach or what I wanted to do, but what exactly you want to do, you don't know. And if you get it, when you get that clarity, life becomes so much easier. Because if I want to go to Visakhapatnam, from say, from where are you? Let's say Hyderabad. It's easy, it's close by. Now, then it's very easy. Then okay, I have to get into a bus or a train or something or a flight that takes me there, and you will reach very easily, very quickly. Even if you have to go to Srikakulam, then at least still it takes a little longer, but But if you don't know, then if you keep saying, oh yeah, this is not where I reached, you may spend your whole life and never really reach. And many people then, at some point a certain dejection kicks in, where you feel, oh, I'm not doing what I wanted to do. Or the same way, when you start realizing that enjoyment or that peace, that happiness that you're looking for is actually something that is available inside, and you don't have to keep running outside trying to catch it, life becomes much easier. But how to do it, we have not learned. And in the book, I have explained very nicely how to do it. So I saw one or two people were asking, I'll share one for those of you who are interested. Let me share one link in case.
Sure, Swamiji, you can put it on the chat, and I will ensure that I put it in the YouTube link later on.
Oh, wonderful. For those who would like to explore.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji, for very beautifully bringing up, I think, 3 key points I took from that. First is learn to stay focused in life, whether you want to flex your muscle or whether you want to win a certificate, whether it's brain power or body power. First, learn to focus. Second, learn to stay relaxed while you're learning to focus. Relaxed focus can only be attained when you practice or learn the practice of meditation and how to calm your mind. And I think a third important point that you brought in is get clarity and vision of what you want to make of your life. And then apply your focus to it so that you achieve it. I think 3 beautiful points that I took from that discussion, and looking inward is your secret key to that path or that approach of the how to achieve this.
Yeah, because I think many of us are teachers, but you're still learning, no? And students also. So you study for so many years in your life. You've been going to school, college, university. Even now, maybe you're going to seminars. So we spend so much of our time, energy, money, everything studying. But half the time your mind is somewhere else, you're worrying about this, you're planning about that.
Right.
So you can save so much of time and energy just by learning how to manage your mind.
Absolutely. And thank you for that wonderful talk on the ancient and inclusive approach to a peaceful and prosperous society. I'm sure people will take a few cues and spread that good message around, visit some of the texts that we spoke about and also try to reflect on those thoughts and see the uniformity across all of spirituality, and remove the differences between our cultures and our religion so that we live as one single universal family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Thank you, Swamiji, for being with us. I have a very special guest with me here today, Mr. Madhukar. Major Madhukar ji has been a highly motivated and I would say an enthusiastic social entrepreneur whose motto in life happens to be learn, lead, and liberate. He has taken the official position of the CEO of the Lead India Foundation, the Chief Executive Officer since 14 June 2021. We're very proud to have you here, sir. If you can briefly, in 30 seconds, wish the Utsahin team. Thank you.
I would say very quickly, firstly, Padhabhivandanalu to Swami Purnachaitanya Gariki. It was a phenomenally enlightening session, sir. And I would say, I can't thank enough Ramji Garu for bringing me into this session. Utsahin, to the entire team Utsahin here, because your goals is what the world requires. One world, Vasudhaika Kutumbam, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu is what we all look for. And that encapsulates everything that the world requires. All I would say is Utsahin means somebody who is excited, enthusiastic. I learned in life that time is the only asset we have, but it can be only multiplied, force multiplied, if you have that energy in you. And that's what I see in all of you in Utsahin. Wonderful gathering here and a great session. Thank you very much, Ramji, for giving me this opportunity to be here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Major.
Because we have first anniversary, the great people like Anirbanji, Raghuramji who are leading the segments. So wish us, I'm asking you, wishes on the first anniversary. We are celebrating on our Independence Day. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All my wishes are with all of you. Objectives are aligned.
Yeah.
As I said, we are looking at making Vasudhaika Kutumbam possible in our plan 2050 of Lead India Foundation. So exactly what you all have started doing it. And I would say, Acharane ma pracharam, practice is our promotion, is what we believe at Lead India Foundation. I think you're already doing it. Wonderful. Yeah. Congratulations.
And thank you so much, sir. And quick interruption. Jai Gurudev Swamiji. Gurudev is one of my great inspirational and transformational guru in my life. Vande Guru Parampara. Thank you, Swamiji, for being here. Thank you so much.
All our love and respect and regards to the Art of Living Foundation, from where Swami Purnachaitanya has been a director of programs, and our heartfelt gratitude to Gurudev, Sri Ravi Shankarji, who has been spreading the word of love and universal connect. With that, as I come to the close of our session today, I would request Nidhi to please invite our second set of artists for the day.
Yes, after such a profound message, coming back to a musical offering once again, let me take the pleasure of inviting the father-daughter duo, Kumari Surabhi Aveti Jahnavi Kartika, such a beautiful name, and Sri Surabhi Aveti Fani Bhushan Garu. Jahnavi is studying in 10th class from Epistemo Vikas Leadership School in Hyderabad. She's learning violin from her guru Ila Sangeeta Dilip Garu, Chennai. Today, she is accompanied by her father, Sri Fani Bhushan Garu, who's on the Mridangam, who's also a famous Ghatam artist from Hyderabad. So we welcome you both today for this evening. Waiting to see your performance. What a wonderful performance, the father-daughter duo. Let music complete you as a person, and may you be successful is my sincere prayer. Thank you.
Vote of thanks by Sri Suhad.
Yeah, namaste. A pleasant good evening to all. It's my immense pleasure to extend vote of thanks on behalf of Team Utsahin, the Awakening Arts. First and foremost, our heartfelt thanks to Swamiji Purnachaitanya garu for being with us and for blessing us, for enlightening us with his insightful, subtle, valuable words. Thank you so much, Swamiji, for being with us. And Johan garu, his husband. Thank you, sir. And a special thanks to our special guest, Madhukar Katagadda garu, for wishing us. Thank you so much, sir. A special thanks to our instrumentalist, Master Ibhanan, Master Prabhavan, C.H. Surya garu, Jahnavi Kartika, and Panibhushan garu for their beautiful renditions. I also thank Nidhi garu for the beautiful introductions, and I thank Vasudevi garu for the soothing prayer, and Mr. Sai Charan for the warm welcome, and Anirban sir for being a great facilitator for the whole event. I especially thank TVAT, our media partner, for supporting us in broadcasting the session live and always being available for us. I extend my thanks to all the team Utsahin and guiding force, Mr. Rami Reddy garu and Raghuram sir. Thank you all the participants, viewers, for your continued patronage, which motivates us to excel further. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Over to Utsahin, Ms. Tamira, for the closure prayer.
Thank you, Sudhaji.
Samira ji. Okay, may I request...
Anirban, you read it out, please.
Sure. Can you replace the prayer on the slide, please? May I request the focus of prayer?
Ram Reddy garu.
May I request the focus to be changed to the prayer?
Yeah.
Thank you. May we all march forward with a common goal. May we be open-minded and work together in harmony. May our prayers be one. May we belong to one brotherhood. May our aspirations be harmonious. May our minds be in unison. May we strive to reduce disparity. May we be bound in strong fellowship and unity. Sangha Chatlam. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We thank all our virtual audiences and all our physical audiences today. It was really wonderful and heartful connecting to you. Spread the good word. Come together. Let us live and spread this message of oneness together. Music of joy. Session closure.